two votes on both of those, and so it was like a question of like, what's going to get turfed? The fantasy novel Midnight Bargain, which is kind of what was it? It's wealthy, an annual event where wealthy young men and women gather from all the world to make advantageous marriages. But the problem with the marriages is once you get married, you basically, as a woman, you're given a collar and you don't get to practice magic anymore, which really sucks in a society, but is obviously one of those metaphors for our own patriarchal society. The other book that was definitely early on the chopping block, well, it has been, is in this name of the 2 to 2, is Two Trees Make a Forest by Jessica J. Lee. Which is a nonfiction book, which is exploring how geographical forces are interlaced with family stories. And there's the author is sort of doing a combination memoir with letters from her immigrant father to her ancestral homeland Taiwan, but also just sort of the critical eye on our kind of our colonialist explorers who mapped the country, named plants, and both relied on and often erased the labor and knowledge of the local communities. And I have to say, me listening to the pitches and the book trailers for both, and it was like, Two Trees at least sounded like this is. I have not read any of these books. I'm going to read one of them. I've got requested on my thing, and probably good luck for me trying to get into the others. It sounded like more of the Two Trees Make a Forest. Sounded a bit more like your oatmeal book. It's about colonialism, about the environment. It's a nonfiction book. It had a little bit kind of like that, and some of the people who are kind of arguing against it in the thing was like they were engaged by the human story, but all the descriptions of the geography, the landscape didn't engage them as much. And not surprisingly, when it came down to it, Two Trees Make a Forest was eliminated. Now, this is a book that has won the Hillary Weston Writers Trust Prize for a nonfiction. So, it's like, it's obviously probably quite, it's an esteemed nonfiction book. It's like, this is a $60,000 prize awarded, annually to the best in Canadian nonfiction. It's the largest prize in Canadian nonfiction in Canada. So the author's doing okay, and it sounds like it might be an interesting book to pick up. But yeah, I could see why this was a book that was perhaps going to be a little bit more niche. And if you're looking for a book that's going to transport us, I mean, all these themes are kind of bullshit. But if you're going to look for a book that's going to appeal to the widest possible people, I can see why people might target this one right off the bat. So yeah, one down, three more to go, and then we'll have the final book that wins. I know that watching Michael the Poptimist, he was really big for Butter Honey Pig Bread. I don't know if I got a great feel for that book in this round of why it's sort of like an interest. It should be like kind of an interesting book. There is kind of the case with a lot of this stuff that especially the defenders are trying to make a case for why this book is worthy. Which is maybe it's the unavoidable thing with Canada Reads. It's all about what's going to be the most ennobling, what's going to be the most relevant, and those are usually things that I'm the least interested in when it comes to a book. I probably will be far more. It's like, okay, I read the first page. Is this readable? Is this engaging? If a book is that, I will take it over a worthy book that is kind of dry as dust and blah. So the stuff for Butter Honey Pig, it's a novel about two twin sisters, and their mother, who believes that she was a spirit who's supposed to die as a small child, and by staying alive, she is cursing her family. And and appears to come true when Kendi experiences something that tears the family apart and divides the twins for years. But when the three women connect years later, they must confront their past and find forgiveness, which is like always like those kind of descriptions. It's like it doesn't make me excited about the book in the way that someone like Michael the Poptimist enthusing about it, saying like this is a great book, really engaged him. That actually excites me more. um, you know and the kind of just the ideas of like kind of the food involved in this butter honey pig bread book does. Of the other ones, Hench sounds kind of fun. It's definitely very much more genre science fiction, kind of superhero-y, anti-superhero, because this is henches and henchmen, and somebody who's decided that that superheroes are are actually are more costly or more damaging to society than the good that they do. It does seem to me like maybe it's well executed, but it's not like particularly a new idea in genre fiction of the whole thing of the superhero not being the greatest thing. We've got The Boys at the moment. We've had other things of this, but maybe it's really well executed, but it doesn't really have that kind of sense of novelty to me. Um, Johnny Appleseed sounds really interesting, of a two-spirit indigenous young man who leaves the reserve and becomes a cyber sex worker in the big city to make ends meet. It actually kind of sounds kind of like, oh, that sounds like a really interesting world, something I wouldn't be actually I wouldn't know about for myself. I think it's his first, yeah, first he won an award for the Amazon Canada First Novel Award, and it was longlisted for the Giller. So that's those are good signs for a thing. And Yeah, I mean, I guess I mentioned Midnight Bargain already. I think that's everybody. I think that is all. As it goes, when you listen to people defend books, it's then you're starting to just sort of more rate um, how good a defender you have, and whether that's going to make a difference, or if most people have made up their mind, or really are making up their mind through their readings of the books themselves. You're not really quite getting that. It's like a cooking show where you don't get to taste the food. I haven't tasted the books. I guess I could look at little excerpts from each book and make me think about what I think about them, because they're probably all books that I could find on like Kindle and download the sample of and read that. That might be an interesting thought. All right. That's all I have to say now. More videos later.